We're about to dive into a massive story, one that spans 600 years and completely reshaped the Indian subcontinent. It's a dramatic tale of two worlds colliding, of conquest, and, ultimately, of forging an entirely new future.
And really, it all boils down to this one simple question. What happens when an established civilization meets a new, powerful force head-on? How does that single encounter go on to reshape the destinies of millions over centuries?
Okay, so to really get a grip on this transformation, we first have to wind the clock back. We need to see what the world was like before everything changed. Let's set the stage on a frontier that was, well, on the brink of a monumental shift.
So before this huge collision, things were actually pretty stable. You had this established region, and in the early 7th century, Sind was governed by a succession of Hindu dynasties. First, you had the Rai, and then they were followed by the Brahmin dynasty. This was a world with its own very deep-rooted traditions and its own structures of power.
But that established world was about to run up against a brand new catalyst for change. We're talking about the arrival of Islam, a force that would fundamentally alter the course of the subcontinent's entire history.
Now, a shift this big doesn't happen overnight. It kind of began with some early contact back in 644 CE, the battle that really signaled the start of something new. But the real turning point, the moment the future truly pivoted, didn't come for nearly 70 more years in 712 CE.
And right at this turning point, you have these two powerful figures on a collision course. There's a young Arab general, Muhammad bin Qasim, who leads his forces, captures a vital port, and defeats the ruling king of Sind, Raja Dahir. And this wasn't just another battle. This was the moment that cemented a permanent Islamic presence in the region for good.
So that initial foothold, it set the stage for centuries of really intense conflict. Military campaigns and these profound cultural collisions just began to ripple out across northern India.
And that brings us to this year, 1001, a year that marks one of the most dramatic and honestly poignant confrontations of this whole era. It's a story that involves two powerful leaders, Mahmud of Ghazni and King Jayapala. So on one side, you have Mahmud of Ghazni, this ambitious invader from Central Asia. And on the other side, King Jayapala, the ruler of the Hindu Shahi kingdom. They meet in this massive, fateful battle near Peshawar. And for Jayapala, the outcome wasn't just a military loss, it was a devastating personal humiliation. The shame of that defeat was so unbearable for King Jayapala that he actually chose to end his own life on a funeral pyre. It's just a moment of incredible tragedy that really speaks volumes about the deeply personal stakes of these conflicts. And here's what's so incredible. This ancient tragedy has echoes in our modern world. Back in 1971, during some construction work in Peshawar, archaeologists found a mass grave just full of horse and elephant bones. And it's believed to be the actual physical evidence of this very battle, a tangible link that connects us directly back to that 1,000-year-old clash. So out of these centuries of conflict, something totally new and powerful began to emerge in northern India. A formal, centralized state that we now know as the Delhi Sultanate. The year is 1206. This is the official start. After the death of Muhammad Ghori, his general, a guy named Kupuddin Aibak establishes the Mamluk Dynasty, and that becomes the foundation of the powerful Delhi Sultanate. So let's look at the key events of this first major dynasty, the Mamluks. And get this, they were a dynasty of former slave soldiers who rose up to become rulers. So we see it founded in 1206. Then, in 1221, it has to navigate the terrifying Mongol threat under Genghis Khan. And then, right in the middle of all that, something truly remarkable happens in 1236.
In a time filled with powerful male rulers and these huge existential threats, the most unexpected figure imaginable rose right to the top. So, who was it?
Her name was Razia Sultana. In an era totally dominated by generals and kings, she ascended to the throne in 1236 to become the first and the only female ruler of the Delhi Sultanate. Just a truly extraordinary figure in a really remarkable time.
But the new Sultanate would pretty soon face its greatest test yet, a threat coming from Central Asia that had already crushed entire empires.
We're talking about the Mongol Empire. After laying waste to huge parts of Persia and Mesopotamia, this seemingly unstoppable force turned its sights toward the Indian subcontinent. The Sultanate's very survival was on the line.
The big showdown came in the year 1285. This was it. This was the ultimate test of the Sultanate's strength and its resilience. And the Sultanate held. At the Battle of the Beas River, the armies of the Delhi Sultanate won a decisive victory against the Mongols. This was a monumental achievement. I mean, it saved the region from the kind of total devastation that so many others had suffered.
And this shows us that the Sultanate wasn't just another ruling power. It was a protective one. As one source puts it, it acted as a defensive shield, standing between the subcontinent and one of the most formidable military forces in the history of the world.
And that leaves us with a final, massive question to think about. Just imagine, if that shield had broken in 1285, if the Mongols had poured into the subcontinent, how different might the history of India, and maybe even the world, be today?